and welcome to my little video about my favorite games that released in 2001. My favorite games, like the games I love that much, not you or anyone else. Sounds a bit passive aggressive, but I already know people would tell me, wait, where's GTA 3, you dummy? Yeah, GTA 3 released in 2001 too, but I played it and it's not in my top 10 games because the other games are even better for me. So people who will write something like that will be the real dummies even with this disclaimer. Or maybe nobody would have written it and I'm just paranoid. Also, it's not a numbered top 10, so there's no real ranks. The first game I'm mentioning is just as good as the others for me, because it would break my heart trying to rank them. It's just too hard, those poor games. Animal Crossing. This is kinda extreme cheating since this released in 2001 in Japan but came out in Europe in 2004, 3 whole years after, but I make the rules so it counts. I don't really want to say it's my favorite Animal Crossing because that would be New Leaf, but the original Animal Crossing just feels so different from all the others, for better and worse. Going back to it, you will miss all the quality of life changes the series got throughout time, but there's just something special about not being able to stack the fruits or other things and your inventory getting stuffed because of it. The game just feels so much more mysterious than the others. You move here and everything just so weird and even somewhat hostile. Villagers are not nearly as nice to you as in the other games, and maybe that's how it feels like to move to a completely new place. Like people who move from a small village to a big city and get spat on by a person because they stood in the way, admiring the big buildings and stuff and realizing what a mistake they have made. Even though here's the other way around, and you will feel like an outsider in a tiny village who is not part of the gang. Luckily, there's also nice villagers, and some hot ones. Okage Shadow King. It's a JRPG that sadly never released in Europe and it's just so lovely. The story is great and all the characters just have so much personality and charm to them. The gameplay and the dungeons are really meh and they get carried by the overall atmosphere of the game. It feels like a real grim fairy tale written by the brothers Grimm or like a Tim Burton movie. But I actually only watched The Nightmare Before Christmas, so I can't say more about that. It fits too though, probably. Maybe I should watch more of his movies. Another thing I love so much about the game is that the main character is just such a pushover, which makes everything funnier. You get many dialogue options to respond with in weird situations and barely anyone will respond to them because you're just so unremarkable. They will just go like, haha, yeah, okay, yeah. For some reason that's just funny to me, maybe because that's how it goes for me in real life too, but it actually does kinda matter which options you pick, a little bit. I really recommend it, and if you don't have any fun with the game itself, but like the story, at least at the start, then you should watch a long play or let's play or a stream or whatever to just experience it. Silent Hill 2, the best Silent Hill together with 3. I'm a huge scaredy cat, so it's not unusual for me to be scared when I'm playing horror games, but the Silent Hill games give me more dread than most other horror games. Even when there's no monster around, I'm still having goosebumps because nothing feels right. Even in the quiet moments, I have this feeling of something bad is going to happen, and it just makes me so uneasy. The game just do something weird to me and my brain that is very small. Everything about the game just feels perfect in that kind of way. It's kinda hard to talk about the story and themes in such a short text, but almost no other game deals with the themes of grief and mental illness and other topics as well as Silent Hill 2, and I don't want to spoil anything about it, despite it being so old already. And there's gonna be the remake soon, but I don't expect much and I hope it won't ruin it. Luckily the old Silent Hill 2 won't disappear. If it would actually exist, because there's like no good way to buy it nowadays except emulation. Really looking forward to Silent Hill F though, as a big Higurashi fan, and I also read Omineko, I didn't like it that much, and I still have to read Syconia, hopefully I didn't mispronounce that, and maybe it will bring back Silent Hill to its glory days. Lego Island 2. Yeah, I know, this is mostly for nostalgic reasons, but the game was still pretty fun when I replayed it recently. Sadly, it's a bit of a pain in the butt to make the PC version work on modern systems, and the PlayStation 1 version in comparison is lacking. I miss these kind of Lego games, where they try doing their own thing. Even Lego City Undercover is really fun, but instead we only get the same game over and over with some other popular IP slapped onto it nowadays. The first Lego Star Wars game was really fun to play with a friend, but since then there's just so many and they never really truly changed anything in those games. I would give anything for a new Lego Island game with Pepper. The Super Monkey Ball. Who would expect a game about monkeys being instead of balls and rolling around to be actually good? Not many people, probably, but it's just so much fun. You just roll around the stages and try to roll through the finish line. What else can I say? That's the whole game basically. I like having fun. Having fun is pretty fun. And this game is just pure fun. A bit sad that the first game was already the peak of Monkey Ball for me. The sequel was still pretty good, but it had too many gimmick stages and everything that came after was just not fun, sadly. I really love fun. I hope you have fun watching this video. Hopefully. Super Smash Bros. Melee, probably the local multiplayer game I've played most, together with Time Splitters 2 on the GameCube. Going from Smash 64 to this was like a whole new world. What I really loved about the game were also the trophies. As a kid I always wondered who the heck is Ness, since we never got Earthbound in Europe, and even if we would have gotten it I probably wouldn't have played it at that point. But through the trophies I actually learned who Ness actually is, and other Nintendo series too. They taught me so much, and it was just fun to see you get a new one so you can read about them. The adventure mode with its little stages and cool gimmicks fights, the event fights, etc. There was quite a lot to do, even when you played it solo. I don't want to brag, but I kinda was the best melee player in my circle of friends, and I thought I could beat anyone in the world. Then later on, through the power of the internet, I learned about competitive Smash, and seeing the moves they do made me think, yeah, never mind, I'm fine with being the best in my circle of friends actually. Gothic. For a very long time, Gothic 1, but especially 2, were my favorite German-made games of all time. I'm German, by the way, if you can't tell from my accent. But then Crosscode came around the corner and became my new darling. And now there's also Signalis, which would be rank 3 for me. Gothic is a pretty brutal game to get into though, especially nowadays. The controls are extremely weird by modern standards, and the combat overall wasn't the best, even back in the day. But if you can spend a bit of time to get used to them, you won't regret it. But also the game itself is brutal. You will die a lot in the beginning when you are basically nothing. You are dirt, you are mud, you deserve to be mud. The developers weren't afraid to put hard enemies even into the starting zones, so many people will think, heh, I can easily kill that thing, and then boom, you get one shot and have to reload. But eventually you learn the rules of the world and have the time of your life, especially since the world is so immersive and feels alive. There's different factions and camps, you can follow the NPCs and see their daily routine, and your choices actually matter and so much more. The Legend of Zelda: Awakening of Seasons and Ages. I'm gonna have to say it, I love 2D Zelda games almost even more than 3D ones. They are just so cute with their sprites and I miss them. I really want a new 2D Zelda game, and hopefully one day we will get one. Both games are kinda the same, but also pretty different at the same time. Ages is more about its puzzles, while Seasons does have puzzles too, but it has way more of those kill 5 enemies in this room and then the door opens kind of rooms. So I like Ages a bit more because puzzles are what I love the most about Zelda games. Also I'm gonna say what most people think. Ricky is the best companion in these games. Who doesn't love a kangaroo with boxing gloves? Mush is also pretty alright for a flying bear, but Dimitri is by far the lamest one. He's just a simple Todongo. Wow. Luigi's Mansion. Luigi finally got his own game, and he even got it right at the release of Nintendo's newest console, the GameCube, just like Monkey Ball. But instead of it being a jumpin' one, it's a horror game, not really, so basically a horror adventure game where you have to find Mario, who got put into a portrait. That's what he deserves, so jumping into all of those paintings in Mario 64. And now it's your turn as Luigi to save Mario and suck in ghosts into your vacuum cleaner. I myself have a horror story with vacuum cleaners, but I'm not sure if I should tell it. All I'm gonna say is that it's not a smart thing to try to get sucked off by a vacuum cleaner. But when you're young and horny, you don't think about the consequences. All I can say is that you should never let a vacuum cleaner get close to your balls if you have them. Because I can afford I won't have them afterwards anymore, but I still have them. For your information. Nobody asked, but, you know. Conker's Bad Fur Day. Really funny, really jumpin' one that always surprises me with how good it looks when I play it. Probably the best looking game on the Nintendo 64 for me, and I don't just say this because Barry is hot as heck. I'm totally not a furry, but maybe I am one, only on certain days though. In a way, it should feel like a game that tried way too hard to be edgy and freaked up, but it doesn't feel like that at all. It just kinda works and makes you giggle like a boy who just found some old Playboy magazines with his friends and now will see boobs for the first time. It's just really silly, but the game itself also plays pretty nicely. I would go drinking with Conker if I would drink, but I do not drink, except soda and water, and sometimes a hot chocolate when it's cold outside like today. And those were my 10 favorite games released in 2001. Was a pretty good year, but you can basically say this about every year. But some years are a bit better than other years, or maybe some years are worse than other years. We will see how 2002 will stack up against 2001 next time, so if you enjoyed these games, you gotta give it a thumbs up to the video. Or maybe not if you did enjoy them because there was no GTA 3 or Metal Gear Solid 2 or other great games that I sadly couldn't include. I could have, but I could have made a top 20 I guess, but that takes so long. I'm lazy, sorry. I'm so sorry. But have a good day or evening and we will see each other next time. Maybe.